Well, hey everyone, thank you for joining us for What Was That About? Merry Christmas. We are in the month of December. We're so excited.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Finish your thought though. But I wish you a Merry Christmas as well.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. I'm with Dr. Tony Soldano, who is the lead pastor of All People's Church here in Brampton, Canada. My name is Moses Khan. We're so excited that you are with us for today's episode. We're going to have a little bit of discussion about a question that was raised by the Human Rights
Commission.
Human Rights Commission. And
federally sponsored organization.
Federally, yes.
That's important to know.
That is important. And this question came up in Parliament.
Well, they asked a question.
Yeah.
And then it was forced on the Prime Minister to answer the question. And the question they were asking is Christmas racist?
Is Christmas racist?
And so the premise...
Because Santa Claus is white. Is that why? Is that the reason?
I love it. Well, you see, the study, or the question was because it's based on colonialism.
Interesting.
Right? And of course, that has its white roots, of course, and it has Christianity. Now, they're not going to use the word Christians, so they're going to say colonialism, which is a nice cloud of, a nice coverage of how to really cover your tracks that you're actually racist because you asked the question.
Right.
So they're not going to use Christian because then that's going to get some blowback. But if you use the word colonialism, well, what does that even mean?
Right.
And so therefore, certain people get, Christmas and Boxing Day off, and other people who have come to the country do not. Therefore, is Christmas racist because people don't get their religious holidays off? But
is it that they don't get Christmas off or they don't get their holidays off?
So they get Christmas off. So I've never heard anybody complain about getting the, Christmas and Boxing Day, that sort of thing.
Right. So it's Christmas is such a big deal.
They don't get their holidays off.
But why aren't their holidays such a big deal? So Christmas is racist.
Right. So here's my point. My point is, number one, that you ask that question is you already have a belief. Because if you ask the question and you're going to use taxpayers' dollars to answer it, so now you're putting in time, resource, money, you really believe it. You just want to basically see how it flies out there, right? Kind of raise the flagpole and see if anybody salutes, or at the very least, begin to put the seeds of doubt. So, the leaders of the opposition, the Bloc Québécois, and of course the Conservative Party, they forced the Prime Minister in Parliament to ask the question, since this is, a federally sponsored, organization, is Christmas racist? And of course, he had to respond by, no, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. And then I believe the last 6 days or so, the Human Rights Commission also backtracked a little bit because they know they look like morons. There are bigger human rights issues in the country than asking a completely ridiculous, moronic question.
Yeah.
Is Christmas racist?
Yeah. Now, you had said something interesting off camera, and that was regarding kind of the danger of, I guess, them asking this question and putting it out there. Now that it's out there, you would use the term, it's a seed. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that at all.
Yeah, well, they're dropping the idea. They're putting a seed in people's minds that they're hoping it'll gain momentum simply by asking the question, even though for the most part, it's been, quote unquote, shot down right now.
Right. This
will come back. You watch, mark my words. It started with something as simple as, well, let's not say Merry Christmas, because, that excludes and offends so many people, which I could never understand why anybody would be offended by saying Merry Christmas, which represents what? Hope and peace
and
goodwill and joy. Oh yeah, those are offensive things, right? Which, by the way, most non-Christians will tell you they're not offended by that.
Right.
So then, so we had to move to, well, happy holidays, because this idea of, well, we have to be inclusive. Never mind that we have Judeo-Christian principles that the country is based on. We need to wipe that out, which is wokeism and cancel culture. That's what we're living in today.
Right.
So we have to embrace anything and everything And it's okay to say that, and I saw this in retailers. It's okay to say Happy Diwali, right? That's not racist. But Merry Christmas somehow is racist. And why? Because it's rooted in an Antichrist spirit. Let's be very honest, right? They don't like the word Christ, therefore they don't know how to attack it directly. And so this idea of if we are inclusive, then see everybody's happy and everybody should get different holidays. But it is rooted in racism. It is rooted in separation. It is bigotry. Honestly, it is bigotry in the worst way because it's covered. It's shrouded. You know what I mean? It's deceptive. It's deceptive in the way it's approached. And so they brought it up. It'll gain life. It'll gain momentum.
For sure. Well, even the question itself is so divisive, right? That it gets you to start thinking, normally people would never use even that idea together in a sentence, Christmas and the idea of racism.
Right.
But so even the question, I think, is so divisive, and it allows people to go, yeah, maybe it is. And yeah, I'm not Christian. I don't celebrate Christmas. And, it's like people don't put on holiday movies. They put on Christmas movies, around this time. And so, Christmas is huge. It is what it is. And so I think people need to realize that you don't actually have to exclude something to affirm the reality of maybe other cultures that exist within our society.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you have to now exclude Christmas to go, oh yeah, actually there's other people here that don't celebrate Christmas.
Right. And Pastor, listen, some people don't celebrate the birth of Christ
for sure
in their Christmas, whether it's winter solstice or family or festivity. Millions of people in Canada, even that are quote unquote non-religious, have an idea to celebrate Christmas, and it's part of the national identity.
Yeah,
and it has been since the onset.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how these discussions always occur in Western countries. Like,
for sure.
Like nobody goes into Muslim oriented countries and tries to have discussions on Ramadan or flipping their holidays or going to India where they're more Hindu believing people. There's never these discussions, but in the West, it is open season on anything that is remotely to do with Christianity.
Yeah.
I think it's rooted in self-hatred. This is a left-wing ideology that I'll repeat it. This idea of we want to cancel everything that has been and now renew it with this idea of inclusivity, which, by the way, the reverse is true. And you made the point.
Yeah.
By quote unquote including certain people, you are now excluding people that, by the way, have roots in the nation.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you
And from our perspective, and I'll say it again, we are what? We are celebrating the birth of Christ, which is peace, love, joy for the whole world. Not just for Christians, for the whole world, Pastor Moses.
That was the message that the angel gave. Hey, this news that we're giving about Christmas is that there is a Savior for the whole world. There's a Savior that wants to include everyone, right? And so it's like, how is that even remotely excluding and racist?
Yeah. And
not to mention that this is a Middle Eastern religion.
Yeah.
This is a Middle Eastern Jewish man, And so to then stamp whiteness over it, it's not even historically accurate. And
wow. And by the way, do your history. The gospel went from there to Africa, to Asia to Africa. Way before it went to Europe.
That's right.
Because they say, it's a European colonialistic thing. Why don't you do your research and actually follow that from Israel, where the gospel actually went to before it arrived in Europe and in the West?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then I have this other question. Where was the Human Rights Commission during COVID?
Right.
When people truly, when their rights were suppressed because some people didn't want to be vaccinated. Where were these people? Like, when there are true issues to deal with, this is what you're dealing with, and asking the question, is Christmas racist? It's ridiculous. It's a waste of money.
Yep.
It's a waste of energy. The fact that it has to be brought up in Parliament and really it's a mockery.
Yeah.
I love what Pierre Poilievre, and I hope he's the next prime minister, by the way. He stands up and he says, first of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and, Joyeux Noël. He even said it in French.
Wow.
And so, it has the reverse effect, but we need this pushback. We need to be able to say, hey, you have pushed us far enough. We're not going to be pushed anymore. And just in simplicity, by wishing. Every time I go into a retail store, I am wishing people a Merry Christmas. I am forcing them to say it back to me, whether they believe it or not. By the way, Pastor Moses, we do a lot of work in our community with our food hub.
Yeah.
We give out gifts. We give out food. No one ever refuses us.
That's right.
No one ever refuses us. Whether they're Muslim, Hindu, whatever they are, agnostic, we don't ask these questions.
No.
We give, we contribute, we want to show the heart and the generosity of God.
That's right.
And no one gets offended that we tell people Merry Christmas, and we say it. It's just ridiculous.
It is. It's them trying to stir the pot. It's them trying to just keep this cancel culture. It is a cancer, honestly. It is a cancer,
yeah.
It's a way for them to keep that culture alive, I think, because it's completely unnecessary.
And at the root of it, my brother, there really is this push to secularize our culture, secularize our nation.
For sure.
And to take the sacred, take the sacred out of every aspect of life. And what happens when you remove the fundamental principle of that which is sacred, when you remove God out of your society, what do you see? You see crime, you see murders, you see sexual violence, you see theft, you see the lack of morality, the lack of care for people, right? And we are watching this happen. You see immorality on the rise, the legalization of it, because people have lost their moral compass. This is what happens when you remove the sacred and you become a secular society. It is a slippery slope. And the fruit of it will not be good.
For sure. And we're seeing that, and we're continuing to see it more and more. And so, our hope is that, as followers of Jesus, that we can make the impact that we're called to make, even if it's as simple as, wishing somebody a Merry Christmas. Just as, even for them, and sometimes, Pastor, it's even having a conversation with somebody to say, hey, by the way, the message of Christmas is about hope and joy and peace. This is not a message of seclusion or hatred or anything like that. And so hopefully you can, it's like, hey, if you don't want to celebrate Christmas, hopefully you want to celebrate joy. You want to celebrate hope. You want to celebrate peace, because that is the message of Christmas.
And, even with, you think about the wise men. We know the wise men didn't arrive on Christmas, but they weren't even Jewish. They came from outside. They came from outside of the country. Angels announce from heaven. The wise men come from outside, probably in the area of Iraq. That's the east.
Right.
It's not, I know the song says of Orient, probably from Iraq. It would have taken them 2 years to travel there. The stars speak of him. The angels speak of him. These kingmakers, that's what the wise men were. These kingmakers came to worship and offer gifts. It wasn't just a, it wasn't just a city of Bethlehem or the country of Israel. It was beyond that. It was beyond that.
That's right.
So the answer is no. Human Rights Commission, the answer is no.
Right.
And don't bring it up again.
That's good.
You're ridiculous. I'm going to call you what you are. You're ridiculous.
Love it. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us for today's episode. Let us know what you think of this whole idea, this conversation, in the comment section below. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, share this video, like it. We love and appreciate your support. Pastor, thank you for this conversation. Listen, God bless you. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.